Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, family. All praises due to Allah and welcome once again to Message to the Black Man. I am your brother Carthrell Muhammad, and this is your brother.
Brother Juan Carlos X.
All praises is due to Allah, and we are here to deliver the message to the black man. All praises is due to Allah, but we going to start it off right, or we can't start it at all, and that's in this way. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the risen and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine reminder. The Jesus Messiah in our midst today, I'd like to greet you all in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. And as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, he said that Assalamu alaikum is not just a greeting, it is a prayer to Almighty God Allah, that from our mouth, our hands, our actions, that you will be free from hurt, harm, and danger. And that is the spirit that we come in. We are here just to share with you a bit of what we learned as a result of being students of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it is our pleasure, our privilege to be with you all today. Once again, this is the second episode of Message to the Black Man, and I am honored once again to be with my brother Juan Carlos X.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got that power hour today. I mean, we got that power hour. We honored the eternal father of the Nation of Islam, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, last episode. And this episode, we're going to jump into something that we all need to know about, and not only know about, but do something about it. And that is, we must take control of our schools and our children's education, because it is some things that's going on that we're going to share with you all today that you may or may not know. And a lot of us, even if we do know, sometimes you don't know, well, what can I do about that? You know, what can I do about that? Well, family, we're just going to give you an overall. In the Congress right now, they are actually planning to change the history of America. That's right. So they no longer want to tell you about that we came here in the holds of ships. They don't want to tell you about the decimation of the Native Americans. They don't want to tell you about what happened with the Chinese and the railroads. They want to eradicate these things out of history, and saying because that doesn't lead us to patriotism with the country. So they would rather sweep the truth up under the rug than tell the truth. There's a scripture in the Bible that says this, that justice stands afar off because truth lies dead in the street. There's the scripture that says that, and that is absolutely right and absolutely true, because that's what's happening. You can't get justice if you don't even want to let the people know what happened. When it gets to the point that you no longer want to let people know what happened in the country, you don't even want to let them know what went on, then you already know that then is going to be bad for you and bad for those who have experienced what went on in this country. So we'll get deeper into that. I'm going to let my brother say a few things, and then we're going to jump into some things that we would like for you to support, okay?
Indeed. And peace and blessings to all the listeners and viewers of this broadcast. What I would like to emphasize along with our topic today is for everybody listening to my voice and watching this video of me and the brother sharing the teachings and education and whatnot. I want to evoke thought in your mind. One thing that I would like to evoke and bring forth to the forefront of our mind is, why would they not want you to know your history or have that knowledge of self? Why would they not want that taught? Why would they pass laws to erase that? Why would they not want you aware of their actions, the history, and how we came to this point today? So as we go through, you might have many questions. Go ahead and put them in our comments. You can reach out to Message to the Black Man podcast on Instagram or Facebook, the website coming soon. Or you can definitely connect with Brother Carthrell Muhammad or myself. And if you have questions, comments, or you want to share your opinion on it, please do so. But think about those questions. Why would they want to erase that history from being taught in present day when we're here, and what's built on, especially in regards to America, is based off of that history and the blood, sweat, and sacrifice of the black man and others? So I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Oh, yes, sir. That is a very powerful point, and is a powerful point for us to think about, because that really should be the basis of when we enter into this conversation, where we should be. Why would they want to do that? Why would they? That's something to roll in your mind as we go through these conversations, okay? So as we said, we're going to give you a few things to support. All right. Okay.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Greetings, dear listeners. We have been.
All right, family. So definitely want you to support the Final Call newspaper, unbought, uncompromised truth. That news that we can truly use, that's not corporate owned and corporate controlled, but is controlled by the man of God in our midst today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who has a history of giving us that hard-hitting news, transformative information that can make us a stronger, bolder, prouder, more productive people. The Final Call is known for that. Now, I just want to say something that many of you may not know this. The Final Call, in its 40-plus year history, well, this is 40 years, has only had to make one retraction in all the 40 years of its publishing. One retraction in all of 40 years. And the Brother James, was so hurt by him having to print that retraction that the brother stepped down off of his post, because that's what the Final Call is about, delivering the absolute truth. We don't bring nothing to you that has not been thoroughly researched, thoroughly went through, questions asked, all of that. So when you pick up the Final Call, you can feel confident in knowing that you got the truth in your hand. That's what I'm talking about. So we are proud distributors of the Final Call. Me, your brother, is here in Arizona, in Tucson, and in the Phoenix area. And my brother is, go ahead,
I'm
bro.
located in Michigan, Springfield, Michigan, Detroit area. So you can definitely reach out to me here, or definitely reach out to us online, like he said, Final Call, new.finalcall.com, and definitely tap into the truth. And I did want to share, as he said, just to veggie back off my brother, with the Final Call being the truth. The definition of truth is the quality or state of being true.
That's
So
right.
you can't battle the truth. You can talk about it. You can try to add to it. You can try to subtract, but it is what it is. So
That's right.
definitely tap into the Final Call News, which is unique, and it's a one of one because you don't get that type of news coverage or information in today's society, and you probably haven't got it at all like that. And that's why the Final Call is what it is.
That's absolutely right. And we are proud distributors of the Final Call newspaper, and we'll be honored to get you your paper each and every week. So if that's that news that you can use that you can't do without, go ahead, hit us up and hit us in the chat, hit us in the inbox. Just let us know that you need it, and we'll be proud to get it to you. All right? All right, we're
Indeed.
going to move on to the next one.
And as you pulling that up, my brother, for the listeners, I'd like to share a quote from our brother Malcolm X, whose teacher was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But it's something that we should all keep in mind, and it resonated with me, and I just want to share it. He said, "Don't struggle only within the ground rules that the people you're struggling against have laid down.
Oh,
Don't struggle only within the ground rules that the people you're struggling against have laid down." So think about that.
that's right. Absolutely right. That's a heavy statement and definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about. All right, and here we go.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
All right, family. If you not tapping into that, that's definitely a treat. You not only get to hear snippets of the lectures by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they actually play his music on there as well. So if you didn't know that the minister is a supreme musician, we definitely recommend that you listen to Final Call Radio. You want to be inspired, you want to be informed, you want to be uplifted all day, then Final Call Radio is the spot for you. All right. All right. And we got the last one. Oh, no, 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 that's not right. Okay. Why does that not come up? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, family, and this is the Final Call online store. This is where, when you want to get that information on the Nation of Islam, you want to get that hard-hitting truth, you want to get the latest messages by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this is where you go, the Final Call store, online store. And how do you get there is you go to Final Call Store .noi.org or finalcallstore.com. Either one you can get to there. Finalcallstore.noi.org or the Final Call Store. Okay, so either way you'll be able to get there. Definitely tap in with that. If you don't have that message by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that you see they putting up there, the criterion, we highly recommend that you get that, listen to it, sit down with your family, and just really, man, listen to it, study it, because it's so prevalent. All the way from Savior's Day 2020, then following it up with the criterion, and look at what's going on today. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called it exactly the way that it was.
Indeed.
Indeed. All right, family. So you already know we're gonna give you a little theme music over here. You already know that. As you know, if you've been following me on any of my shows, you know we're gonna do that. This one right here, this was something inspired by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who blessed us on his birthday, May the 11th, with a violin concerto. This was inspired by that. And so we want to play a little bit of that for you. All right. Just a little something. We call it the Ode to Farrakhan. Check it out. Yeah, I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
All right, family. That was the ode to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan right there. And welcome once again to Message to the Black Man podcast, where we are delivering the message to the black man. I am your brother, Brother Carthrell Muhammad. This is your brother, Brother Juan Carlos X. And it is our pleasure to be with you all once again. We just hitting it up and letting a few people know indeed that we are live. So family, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a powerful conversation for you today, where we're going to actually be dealing with what is going on in our school systems. This is something going on in several states, but you already know that as they tried in one state or two or five, that it's going to eventually try to go around the whole country. Okay, for those of you who all may know about Project 1619, which it was a sister who wrote a book talking about basically the 400-year experience of slavery. This was actually covered in the New York Times. This was actually covered in the New York Times. It went all around the country, and it explained exactly what happened. You know, at the slave experience, it talked about everything that was going on, and the sister actually received great reviews and great awards for actually doing this book. Okay, she actually received great reviews and great rewards. But then you come, that was just 2019. Now you are in 2021, and they are going through the Congress as we speak in several states right now, saying that they will not only, they want to change the reality of what was, they are penalizing school systems for teaching the truth of what happened in this country, saying that this doesn't foster patriotism, and it's not something that should be taught. They shouldn't teach about slavery. They shouldn't teach about the Native Americans. They shouldn't teach about what went on in with the Chinese and many others. They shouldn't talk about that. They would rather, as we said, sweep it up under the rug than to tell the truth. We're gonna play a video on it in a minute, but I'm gonna give my brother a little time to just give you some thought before we jump in and kind of talk about that.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I I'm looking up the critical race theory is the verbiage or some of the language that they're using, of course, in pushing these laws and trying to get it changed and rewrite the history concerning race relations, and the history, basically at how America, what we know to be America, and was built and how we got to this point. But the definition for everybody on an internet connection where you can tap in and look for yourself, definitely I would like to say before I read this definition that I found online, which a lot of us are online, you're watching us online, make sure in your research and study, as Brother Nuri Muhammad says, you don't become Google brained, where the first link you see is ironclad what it is. Make sure you're checking your sources, doing research across the board. But critical race theory, CRT, is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who seek to critically examine the law as it intersects with issues of race and to challenge mainstream liberal approaches to racial justice. So as my brother is going to pull up a clip, there's many clips you can look at online and do research about how they're trying to pass these laws and so on and so forth. But, think about it. Evoke thought. Why would they want to erase the history? Why do they not want this taught in schools? Why do they not want your children to know of the violence, the murder, the rape, the killing, the detachment, everything that they've done to get to the point of where they are today, this America that we live in and that it's built on, this foundation. And as my mother taught me, and I'm going to pass it to my brother, as a young boy, America was built on the blood and sweat of Black people, the original people, and all the descendants from the original people, so that's what it is. And it needs to be examined, and it needs to be not necessarily examined, but it needs to be taught. And like we'll cover later also real quick, chapter 27 of this book right here that I suggest everybody tap into, Message to the Black Man, says we must teach our own. We must teach our own. So if you haven't got a copy of this book, definitely reach out to the podcast. Visit store.finalcall.com, all the resources and sources that my brother stated earlier in this video. And tap into the life-giving teachings, tap into the information, do research, do the knowledge, and you'll see for yourself. We must teach our own. Chapter 27 of Message to the Black Man.
All right. All praise is due to Allah. We're going to hear a little bit of that in just a moment, of course, but we're going to play this clip because just go ahead, start putting your questions in the chat. We want you to hear this. We don't own the rights to this video. I'm just gonna say that, but we're using it, to kind of let you hear what's going on in the legislation. Okay, we want you to know what's going on in the legislation. Okay, all right. Um,
Several states, including Florida, Idaho, and Iowa, have worked to ban the 1619 Project and critical race theory from their core education plans. Arkansas became the latest state where state agencies are barred from teaching any concept that the United States is an inherently racist nation. In Louisiana, a Republican lawmaker is now under fire for comments he made on the House floor when proposing the theory's elimination from academic curriculum.
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly.
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, then whatever the case may be, you're right. I didn't mean to imply that.
Wow, guys, wow. It's almost like this guy wasn't properly taught about America's history with racism. Huh? Although, I am glad that he recognized how wrong he was. A part of me does wish that he had just kept on digging in. Oh, really? You think that no good came from slavery? What, I'm the only one who likes the blues? None of you like the blues? Who's the real racist now? Still me? Yes, it is.
Woods, man.
And you know what's wrong with this whole thing? Is how the same people who freak out about cancel culture now want to use the power of the government to stop bad ideas from getting into schools. But I guess the solution is, if anyone really wants to get anti-racism education in schools, well, they should put the curriculum in Mr. Potato Head's penis. And that way, conservatives will bend that shit to the day. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that systemic racism
Crazy.
is behind all of America's problems. In my opinion, I think a lot more laws are written to protect the upper class from the lower classes. And that's why a lot of laws that screw over black people also screw over poor white people. Like, a lot of counties in America pull poor people over and ticket them for random things, like tail lights or whatever they want to, just to meet their quotas. But what they won't do is...
Well, we'll stop that right there. But the point that we are making, family, is that they are not only trying to implement this. This is on the floors of the Senate, the floors of the Congress. This is going on in states around the country. It's one interview that I listened to. There was either a congressman or a senator, and he was asking the question. He said, "So, are you aware that this bill would have us to remove the writings of Frederick Douglass?" And the guy said, "Yes, I am aware of that. I'm aware of that." So Frederick Douglass, of course, was in slavery. So you know that also means if they're going to remove Frederick Douglass, they got to remove W.E.B. Du Bois, and they have to remove anybody that was associated in that time, because they don't want you to be able to walk back into that time and actually see. I want to bring this up, and then I'm going to let my brother tell what he thinks about that. In the book, Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Part 2. If you don't have it, again, like we said, tap in with the Final Call store and get your copy today. In there, in the Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, it talks about the financial gain that was gained through our slave labor with cotton into what would be now the billions of dollars. Now, cotton didn't just finance the South and the North in America. This financed whole countries. This financed whole countries, England, everybody that was involved with this received great financial benefit from the enslavement of us, especially with the cotton, which turned into textiles, which turned into clothes, which turned into sheets and so on, okay, into the billions of dollars now. And they showed in this book, again, you need to get it, they showed the barges full of cotton, and a cotton bale, for those of you who all don't know, and they mention this in the book, a cotton bale that one black man was charged to carry and pick and put together with 500 pounds. I'm going to say that again. 500 pounds of cotton equal one bale. And then if you got a barge full of this cotton, this is thousands and thousands of pounds. And if, like my aunt, who lived in Mississippi for a long time and then relocated to Chicago, she told me about her having to pick cotton as a young girl and how there are thorns in the actual flour that sticks in your finger when you're trying to pull the cotton out of the flour. I'm saying once again, 500 pounds of cotton equal one bale, and this was the requirement for each and every slave. The women were required, and you can read it again in the book, to do half of that, which was 250 pounds, and the children were required to do, I believe, like 100 and something pounds. But if you go into the book, Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, you will actually find the type of monies that were made off of cotton. That's just talking about cotton. That's not even talking about the building of the plantation houses, the cutting of the underbrush, the preparing this country to look like what you see today. Okay? That's not even talking about that. We just talking about cotton right now. Okay? So, family, you saying, they're saying they no longer want you to learn of what it is that actually built this country. It was not none of their labor. It was your labor and our father's labor that built this country. Every plantation house you see anywhere, we put in all of the work, all of it, every building. You read that book and you will see the reason the term poor white trash even came about was that if they had to do any kind of manual labor, they were considered poor white trash because they could not own slaves. That's why they were considered poor white trash. Not because they just saw them as poor. They couldn't own a slave, so that made you poor white trash. So those who couldn't own them, they could rent them. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear what I said. So like today, you can go to Rent a Wheel and rent you some rims. Any place in your city and rent you some rims. You can't afford to buy them outright. You can rent you a slave. Think about that. Put your mind around that. They don't want you to know that. You haven't even learned the whole history in the first place because more and more things are coming out, but they now don't want you to know anything about it and have went to the extreme to put it on the floors of the Congress and the Senate to eradicate this history of the black man, the red man, and the yellow man. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my brother. I just had to drop that because I want to hear his thoughts on that.
Well, you touched on some very important facts and points of concern, points of interest that people should be, if you're unaware of, that you should be tapping into. One thing I will say that you said that we don't even know the history. One, and with that being said, let's ask the question: why don't we know the history?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's because what we know of the system and how they built it. One, they already was keeping out the facts and the information of what they did and only giving us a limited amount of information to what it really was. In a sense, we can think back and do the research on. We were taken away from our homes, our culture,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't speak our language.
Come on.
We could not know who our names was, who our family was. We couldn't read, write unless they gave it to us. So those same people that gave us and did that and instituted that system or that method of training or way of life were the same people that took that information out and didn't put it in the books, didn't put it in the educational system. So for me, one thing is, why now are you even trying to erase that little bit that you've put in there completely out of it when you don't even teach it in its fullness today?
That's right.
It's not even taught fully today because they don't want that known. They don't want you to have the knowledge of self. They don't want you self-aware. They do not want us self-reliant. That's facts. And so, it's I don't want to say bittersweet, but for me, it's like I'm thankful. All praise be to Allah that we're here at this point in time. I know we hear that it's a dark hour, and that means many things. You know what I mean? But the state of people's the heightened awareness and people wanting to know more. You have a lot of people playing, and you have a lot of people still asleep. So we'll say, but there's more of us. I'll say awakening or inquiring more, wanting to learn more. So with that being said, it's urging them, the system, whoever you want to call it, boss them, the plantation masters, relatives. These are the same people that's sitting in these high places now trying to erase that, come from the benefits of slavery and that history they're trying to erase. That's fact. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Like you say, they want to erase W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass. The very few people that they give us information on, they want that gone.
That's right.
Why did y'all give us limited information in the first place?
Right.
You know what I mean? And now that we want more information, now it's that's anti-white. I seen a clip, and I believe it was still on that same clip. You can find it where different people are speaking at town hall meetings and going to their town and whatnot. Right. And the lady saying, I don't like critical race theory because it teaches anti-white it teaches people to be anti-white. Well, my question is, what was the education system now?
Come on now.
It was if it wasn't anti-white now, what was it? Because it wasn't fully black. It was anti-black.
As the brother shared in the clip that we played in the earlier part, it says that only 5% of school time throughout the United States is spent on Black history. And of course, it's not even a requirement at all. It's not a requirement that you know. Only time, for the most part, that we get tapped in is during Black History Month. And now they're giving you those, again, that either were after slavery. They're giving you some modern context. They don't take you back to the Akan. They don't take you back to Nubia. They don't take you back to Kemet. They don't take you back to before we ever touched these shores in the way that we know of as slaves today. They don't touch that. They only give you the accomplishments of after quote unquote receiving their education. Now, here I'll present this to you, because quote unquote, we had something to do with that.
Right. And yeah, what about before slavery?
Come on.
When I came up in high school, there was, and I'm from Texas, the South. Like I'm from it's known as a city on the book, but it's a big town from Lubbock, Texas. We can look in on Thomas Saltus Lubbock, who that is, the mentality of the people that the city was named after, and the founders, and that Lubbock is just a small portion or a reflection of all the bigger cities that were established by these same people that had that same mentality, to limit our information, to keep us unaware of knowledge of self. And one question that I want the listeners or anybody to view this to ask is, why is it anti-white to know about who I am? The same history that you hid from us, your ancestors, the same history that you took and culture from us, our language, our whole being that you took away from us. Now that we're at a point where we want to learn that, and then we want to put that information out. Now it's anti-white against you. There's something to think about. One thing I definitely want to say, and I'll pass it back to you, from one of our brothers, Dr. John Henrik Clark, who was a writer, historian, professor, academic pioneer. He mentioned, or he quoted, and it says, "Powerful people cannot afford to educate the people they oppress, because once you are truly educated, you will not ask for power, you will take it."
Absolutely. Absolutely right, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yes,
they're not going to, they're not going to educate us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in the beginning of chapter 27 of Message to the Black Man, it titled "We Must Teach Our Own." I'll read this real quick and then I'll let you take it, brother. He says, "Today, with all of our white civilized schooling, we have not been taught of our own. They will never teach us our own. Since the coming of Allah, their reason for not teaching us of our own is made crystal clear. The knowledge that Allah has given us gives the knowledge of our own. Being the first people of the earth, we are destined to be the last.
Come on.
We are the creators and the makers. This limited civilization of the white man and his rule is now terminating, never to be brought into existence again.
Go ahead.
This makes it absolutely against the will of the white man to honor and respect you and me and our nation as being the first people and the makers of the universe." Make sure y'all tap into the Message to the Black Man.
Yes, sir, brother. I want you to read that last sentence one more time. Read that last sentence one more time, please.
Yes, sir. I'm reading from Message to the Black Man, chapter 27. We must teach our own. That sentence says, "This makes it absolutely against the will of the white man to honor and respect you and me and our nation as being the first people and the makers of the universe."
Now, here's something for you to wrap your mind around. The reason I had my brother repeat that again, the Holy Quran says, "And we adorn the lower heavens with stars." Well, if Allah is one, then who is this we that's acting with God to put these stars into the lower heavens? Well, I'm about to blow your mind. Walaikum salam, brother Chris. About to blow your mind with this. Whether you want to believe it or not, black man and woman, that we was you. That we was you. We, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in that same book, Message to the Black Man, said that we are not even a good semblance of what the original black man was and the type of power that we executed back then. Mother Tynetta in one of her articles said that the way that we put the stars in the heaven, I hope you got your seatbelt on. I hope you got your seatbelt on and your thinking cap on. She said we didn't go out there and put it out there. She said that we thought on it and it became a reality. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Mother Tynetta Muhammad, one of the mothers in our nation, said that the way that the stars, our fathers put the stars in the heavens, was not by you physically going up there or just shooting something out into space. She said that you use this brain, the power of thought, to bring the stars into the universe. My brother Chris says, yes, sir. So he's in agreement. That is in the article. I have to find it, and we'll put it in the chat so that you all can see the type of force and power that we were operating before our sojourn 400 years. I just want to mention this. For those who have been told that we were in the jungles with bones in our nose, swinging around, and the white man had to come and civilize us. You know, the white man told us that they had to come and civilize us. And if you go back to them old Bugs Bunny cartoons and a lot of them other cartoons, you see us around a dang on big old pot with the bone in our nose. We're gonna eat people and all this kind of stuff. This is what they had been putting out there. I remember that as a young man watching Bugs Bunny, and we couldn't talk, booga booga and all of that old kind of stuff. This was what they were indoctrinating our children with back then. Okay? And if you go through it and look at it, you will even see the type of caricatures, and they came up with a mindset. And the mindset was called Sambo. Now, I want you to hear me. Now, Sambo is, yes, it is a place where black people are from, but no, they wasn't talking about that. Sambo, the mentality was that Sambo didn't have emotion. Sambo didn't feel no pain. Sambo didn't care about his family. Sambo didn't have no soul. Sambo was just born to only work on these plantations. Now, I gotta bring it up. I know a lot of y'all, you may not have heard this, but I got to bring it up. Once again, in Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, in the book, and I got to say this on the outset, for those of you who get the book, this is not written by the Nation of Islam Research Department. This is researched by the Nation of Islam Research Department. This come out of their own book, their own writings, from their own scholars. So for those of you all who say, okay, well, this is a racist book, well, then you better point the finger back at them. You better point the finger back at them, because not one word did we, when it comes to the history, put in there. They put the words in there. Now, I'm going to go back. They, in that book, it says that nobody, now I know some of y'all gonna say anti-Semitic, all of that. No, this ain't no anti-Semitic. This is the truth. Go and research it for yourself. It said that one of the rabbis, I can't remember his name, but you get the book and you will be able to see. One of the rabbis made the interpretation of the curse of Ham, and they put that on us, saying that, and they went further, talking about that Ham was cursed and he got big lips and the big buttocks and all of this quote unquote came from the curse of Ham. Okay, They came from the curse of Ham. And it says in there that no other religious sect had ever come up with this type of thought process before. They never saw anything in the scripture that said meant it like that. But it was the Jewish rabbi who pushed that, and he went further on to say that if you are not whipping your slaves, if you are not engaged in slavery, that you are not practicing the way of God. Now, I want you to wrap your mind around that. Our brother Chris said in the last days they will bear witness against themselves. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So, family, once again, as we're saying, it is important when you hear things like this saying that they're on the floors of the Congress and the Senate making laws. In the study guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, hardened attitudes become laws, and that's what you're seeing. So the what my brother was quoting from the lady who started crying on the interview, that's a hardened attitude. I like the way that it was. I like the things the way they were. I don't want my children to know the reality of what happened and how you all got here. I don't want them to know that. Why not? Because it makes me feel bad. Well, who cares if you feel bad?
Right?
Who cares if you feel bad? The Jews continuously make movies about the Holocaust. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these movies. And you can research all the movies that's about the Jewish Holocaust. And why do they do that? Do they do it so you can learn to hate Germans? No, they do it and they say never again. Never again, because they don't want this type of thing to happen ever again. So they keep it in front of you for you to learn about the atrocities of slavery and what went on with us. It is not anti-American. It is American history. It is what happened. You all know that this is an absolute fact, but instead of teaching the truth and unteaching this fantastic foolishness that you gave to yourself and your children, you would rather remove it from the books so that these children now will not know. You're still not teaching the contribution of black people to this country. You're still not teaching the contribution of black people to the world. But now you want to say, well, see, yeah, my parents came and they worked hard and they did this and they pulled up by their bootstraps. Lie. Lie. That's a lie. That ain't how they came here.
All right.
They came here again. Allah got me on it. In their secret relationships, when they called for the tempest tossed, you poor, you huddled masses, they were calling for that. Not because they were opening the gateways of America to those less fortunate. They were calling for that because they behind no longer knew how to build any damn thing. So they had to bring their brothers over from Europe and other places to help them. And then this is when you got the founding of unions. The first unions were started when they came here into the island where the Statue of Liberty is, Ellis Island, I believe it is. This is when they came here, the unions were formed. The unions were formed to block each and every one of us out. The unions will form to block each and every one of us out of the trade fields so that if they could do it, you couldn't come in and get in because we were the builders. So only time they will use you is when they couldn't do it themselves. If you don't have the secret relationships between blacks and Jews, volume 2, you need to get it because this ain't no stuff I'm making up. It's all in the book. All you got to do is pick it up and read it. So I'm going to pass it back over to my brother. We want to hear from y'all. What do you think about this? Them in the Congress and Senate saying they want to remove any vestiges of slavery, any vestiges of what happened to the Native Americans, any vestiges of what happened with the Chinese, anything that don't make America look good, they want to remove it from the education, and they are penalizing states as we speak right now if you dare to challenge them. I'm going to pass it back over to my brother.
Indeed, my brother, indeed. And once again, peace and blessings to everybody tapped in right now. Make sure that you ask questions and do the research.
Yeah.
Everything we're saying, everything you hear us passing on, the sources, tap into the information, do the knowledge, do the research on your own, and then you make the decision on what's right, what's wrong, what's truth, what's lies, what's light, what's dark, what's evil, what's good. You make those decisions. 4 points, I would say key points of interest, but 4 things I want to touch on is I'm going to give y'all some mathematics. And we have to learn to speak the language well. And that's part of the supreme wisdom we're taught. So in learning to speak the language well, I'm going to break down some of these definitions. There are 2 definitions for the listeners today. And I want you to, tap in, which these 2 definitions will lead to a quote, and then I'll move forward. So the first one is education. A definition for education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, especially at a school or university. And the second definition is an enlightening experience. So the first word is education. Mm-hmm. The second word is, the second definition was an enlightening experience. So what does the word enlightening means? To enlighten is to give someone greater knowledge and understanding about a subject or situation. So education is enlightening, and enlightening means to give greater knowledge and understanding about a subject or situation. So if the education that they're trying to give us, so they say in these systems, is not doing that, what type of education is it? Come on. We already know a public education is not, I'll leave it at that. What is a public education? What is that worth? What's the value in that? Most people don't even read a book past high school. And in high school, we didn't even do that. We only did the bare minimum to pass. So that's my first point. I want to go to a quote by Haile Selassie, who was an Ethiopian figure in African history, if you don't know who he is. And he said that education which ignores man's intrinsic nature and neglects his intellect and reasoning power cannot be considered true education. And I'm going to read that again.
Read that again.
That education which ignores man's intrinsic nature and neglects his intellect and reasoning power cannot be considered true education. So I gave you education, its definition, which means enlightening. I gave you the definition of enlightening. And then I gave you that quote by Haile Selassie. But then I want to touch and move to my third key point of interest. My brother was mentioning some of the conditioning methods that we faced, and he referenced the example of the cartoons and being a child and remembering in cartoons and certain things such as Bugs Bunny. And we know that nowadays most kids probably don't know what that is, but in this cartoon, I remember as a young boy watching those Bugs Bunny Looney Tune cartoons.
Come on.
Popeye the Sailor Man and all them, where they would depict black people with bones and sticks in their nose, couldn't talk, beating drums.
Come on.
Walking around, swinging out of trees like monkeys. You know what I mean? And what that is, how it sticks with us, how he brought it up here, it is 2021, and that memory that he had as a young boy in him that I'm now bearing witness to, that I also have, were forms of conditioning. These forms of conditioning that they use in more than cartoons, this is a whole nother subject, in my opinion, but it's called psychological warfare.
Come on, man.
Psychological warfare. And I'm going to read a couple definitions for what psychological warfare is. Actions intended to reduce an opponent's morale. That's one. Another one is psychological warfare, or the basic aspects of modern psychological operations have been known by many other names or terms, including military information support operations, psyops, political warfare, hearts and minds, and propaganda. The last definition that I want to give for psychological warfare is things that are done to make someone, such as an enemy or opponent, become less confident or to feel hopeless or afraid. So the conditioning of those who created cartoons, films, commercials, jingles that interject things of images, pictures, sounds, the science behind this is all rooted in psychological warfare, letting us as kids see cartoons and images with music. The music is part of the science. The tones that are playing during the music and the jingles of the cartoon, us seeing only us are black characters with bones in their nose or, swinging out of trees. That was all psychological warfare. We see it today with the agenda in every commercial, or pretty much, I'll say the majority, I won't say every, but you see a black woman with a white man.
Come on.
From cereal, every commercial. Or if you see a black man, for the most part, you're going to see him with a light-skinned woman or a mixed woman or a white woman. And that black man is going to have a certain look. He going to either be bald-headed, clean, no hair on his body. Not saying that there's nothing wrong with it, but these are images and agendas that those in control are putting out because they know they play on our psychological mind frame. So that's just something I wanted to evoke to all the listeners. I would like to read this excerpt from Message to the Black Man. We appreciate y'all for tapping in to Message to the Black Man, chapter 27. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, "These people have been the worst people to us, the black nation, since they have been on the face of the earth. They were created and made for just the purpose of destroying our peace as well as our lives. They have destroyed 600 million of the black nation since they have been on our planet. This averages 100 million every 1,000 years of their rule. They have affected 9/10 of the total population of the black man under their rule, including the brown, red, and yellow races. They have deceived, as the Bible, Revelation of John says, the whole world. And now they are being made manifest as the deceivers and adversaries of Allah and his true religion of entire submission to his will, Islam." My last sentence is, "This black people of America, who have been swallowed symbolically by the white slave master and his children, must now be brought out of this race of people and be taught the knowledge of their own. Separation to death." And that's tap in. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir, brother. We want to welcome our family from Melanated People as well. I was able to go ahead and go live on there. So we want to invite our family from Melanated People. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's topic, we're talking about that in the Congress and the Senate right now, they are trying to remove the reality of the history of us as a people and what happened to us in this country. And they're doing this in several states. But not only are they doing that, they are penalizing the school systems who would dare talk about systemic white racism. They are penalizing them, taking monies from them if they keep going forward in this route. Now, brother, I want you to do me a favor.
Yes,
If
sir.
you go to the index and message to the black man and look up Senator Henry Berry, and then go to that page where he is, and I want you to, we're going to talk about what their plan was in the beginning, and then I'm going to touch on another point from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So Senator Henry Berry.
Yes, sir. In the index, the only word that's has senator is Senator Arthur Goschalk.
Or look up just Henry Berry then. Look
Yes,
up
sir.
Henry Berry. It's in there.
Yes, sir. And I'm in the index. As far as just that name specifically, it doesn't show an index
Oh,
for that, an index point.
hold on one second, brother. Let
Yes,
me
sir.
give me a second. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Uh, give me a second, family, because this is a critical point.
Okay. I found it on the digital version.
Okay, praise be to Allah. There you go. That's good. That's good. Okay, so start right there when he says, when he's talking about that they have the light. He's talking about the light, and they have extinguished our ability to see the light. Go on, start like right in there
Yes, sir. This comes from chapter 80 of Message to the Black Man. What
in the
is
digital
un-American?
version. Go ahead.
What is un-American? Okay, and let me go down. Trick the names, readers. Now, as far as the light, it might be up deeper in there.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I got it here. Give me 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 1 second. Come on. Family, just bear with us for a minute. This is a critical point that I really want to bring up because I want us to understand exactly what the extent
My
of.
brother.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. 77 says, he quoted devil. I'll start from here. Read some of their books as to what was done against our slave parents by the fathers of these modern murderers of ours.
Go
For
ahead.
instance, the book entitled Brown Americans by
Yes,
Edwin R. Embry,
that's right.
printed in 1946, page 54, tells the story of law against education for the so-called Negroes.
Come on now.
He quoted Devil, Henry Berry, as saying while speaking in the Virginia House of Delegates in 1832 and describing a situation as existed at that time in many parts of the South. We have, as far as possible, closed every avenue by which light may enter the slave's mind.
Come on.
The avenue of the light of Allah, you are unable to shut out from coming to us. If we could extinguish the capacity to see the light, our work would be complete. They would then be on a level with the beast of the field, and we should be safe. I am certain that we would not do it if we could find out the process, and that on the plea of necessity.
Now, so as you hear and as you see, when they were talking about educating us, they were not talking about educating us into anything other than being slaves. So if you don't have the message to the black man, we highly recommend that you get it. This is not about changing your religion and whatnot. This is about getting you to think outside of the box where you may not understand some things. And we didn't understand before we read the message to the black man. Okay? And the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, you may have whatever reason why that people have told you, but remember this, that the enemy is never going to be friends with those who are breaking the chains of their oppression. It's just not going to happen. So if you are looking for that and for somebody that's going to be a go along to get along and still be able to break the psychological and the physical chains of us as a people, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're not going to like it. They're not going to smile and be happy about it. Of course, they're going to write bad about that person. Of course, they're going to say evil things about that person. Of course, they're going to try to expose what they consider any kind of dirt they can find on that person. This is their history. This is what they've always done. Now, in that, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this, and as my brother was reading from Haile Selassie and then even brung up other points, when he brung that up, it reminded me of a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the quote goes like this: "He who controls the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity." I'm going to say that again. He who controls the diameter is the up and down in the circle. The up and down in the circle, that's the diameter. But he who controls gives you the circumference of your activity. Brother, if you could look up the word diameter and circumference for me, and then we'll hear that definition, get ready for that definition, and then I'm going to go on to something else that the minister said as well.
Yes,
So
sir.
go ahead.
Yes, sir. More mathematics for our listeners and everybody tuned in. The word diameter. First definition says a straight line passing from side to side through the center of a body or figure, especially a circle or sphere.
Go ahead.
Circumference is the enclosing boundary of a curved geometric figure, especially a circle. So diameter and circumference.
That now, you hear that? The enclosed. So he who gives you the diameter, the center focus of your education, the primary value of what they say education is going to be able to control the circumference. In other words, they're going to be able to know exactly what you're going to be able to do with the education that they give you. Again, it mentioned to the black man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about when they were on the question of what to teach black people in these schools, and he mentioned when they created Howard University, okay, they mentioned and they said that they would not teach you the science of business, the science of warfare, and the science of mating. They would never teach you those things. They would never teach you those things in as he mentioned what they were talking about in the education. Now, my last point is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did a lecture entitled the new education paradigm, which is found in Study Guide 21. If you don't have it, hit us, let us know. We can get it to you. It is a free gift. Okay, if you don't have it, hit us, let us know, and we can get you that study guide. Okay, it's a gift from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to you. Now, in that, he says that, quoting Woodrow Wilson now, he said there is an elite class that we want, I'm paraphrasing now, to receive an education. But the much larger class, we don't want them to receive an education. We want them to receive a lesser education that basically they would be the workers for those who have received this elite education that they have. In other words, the education, as the minister has said 1,000 times over, right, is made to train you to be better slaves in their system and never to give you the ability to break the psychological chains that they use the psychological warfare on. I just want to mention this, and I'm going to turn it back over to my brother. They would never give you the tools nor the keys to break your ties and psychological chains from them. So if the chains are being broken, if as the minister said, how do you know if God came? He said, well, it's the same way if you, how would you know an electrician came? He said, you would know that because the lights come on. In other words, when people would arise doing things that they know that they didn't teach them, nor would they teach them, then they know it's another power present. They know it's another power present that they don't control. So when you hear, think about this. In 1930, as my brother is reading the book, The History of the Nation of Islam, and he's giving us quotes out of there, it talks about when Master Fard Muhammad came, that he gave 25,000 Muslim names. I want you to think about this. Here is black people in this country that never had a Muslim name before, but when Master Fard Muhammad came, he gave 25,000 Muslim names. Can you imagine the enemy's mind was going off the chain because they knew that God was present, because they would have never gave no Muslim names. But now the so-called Negro says, I am no longer Don Jones. My name is Lukman Muhammad. They knew something had happened because they had forbade Islam to be taught in this country. So when you see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being raised and helping us to break the psychological chains, this is the power of God coming through a man. I don't care what your thought process might be about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He cracked the mind of Malcolm X. He cracked the mind of Farrakhan. He cracked the mind of many, many and millions of others. And this is when the black movement began to make its surge and its forward movement. You wouldn't have no black power movement if it wasn't for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They destroyed Marcus Garvey's movement. They destroyed Noble Drew Ali's movement. But the Nation of Islam came on the scene and began to teach you the intricate knowledge of who and what you are. You and I should be found being thankful and grateful to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who sparked the minds of a Maulana Karinga, a John Henry Clark, and all of those scholars, whether they learned it from the mouth of Malcolm. Malcolm didn't have that knowledge before the honorable Elijah Muhammad gave it to him. That's hands down. You can say what you want to say. You done picked up a dictionary 50 billion times and you couldn't have the effectiveness of a Malcolm X. It wasn't the historical teaching. It was Islam that was in his message that affected the masses of the people. That's a fact. Now, you can take it or leave it. I'm just telling you. Last point. The minister did a lecture called The Executive Decision, Justifiable Homicide, an Executive Decision, and he used some powerful words, and I want us to think about it. He used the term social engineering. He talked about how we have been socially engineered in the condition that we were in. And he told, not in that lecture, but in another one, he talked about he met a Jewish man who was someone in Hollywood. And he said that whenever we want to create a new movement, to create a new mind, we hit the silver screens and all basically the forms of media to produce that which we desire. So as the Black Power movement was going on, you also had the Black exploitation films who was teaching about pimping and whores and all of these things. Yeah, they was tough, rough, but they was pimps and whores. You had your Dolomites and your JD's Revenge and all of these things. So all of that was used to help destabilize this new Black Power mindset that we had. Okay? So I just wanted to mention these things because the education that they're giving us was never designed to free us from them. I don't care if you get 17,000 doctorate degrees. It's not enough to free you from them. Okay? The chains will be broken through the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, this ain't us forcing nothing on you, but we're asking you to take another look and to re-examine again the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We need to be more like the bee. The bee goes and takes a little bit from every flower and make beautiful, delicious honey. Why can't we do the same? Why do we allow our enemy to tell us who we should and should not listen to? The same man who hung us, the same man that burned us, the same man who degraded us, the same man that did all these horrible things to us. Now we're going to listen to them about who we shouldn't listen to. We need a checkup from the neck up, as Dr. Collett used to say, a checkup from the neck up. Because if you think for 1 minute that they're going to give you a leader that's going to free you from them, the scripture tells you better. It says, how can they know except that they have a teacher? And how can they have a teacher except he be sent? They ain't sending you one. It's coming from God or it ain't coming at all. I'm going to say it again. It's coming from God or it's not coming at all. All right? So I just wanted to say that, to you all. And if my passion hit you too hard, I'm sorry about the passion. But I had to tell it like it is. I'm gonna turn it over to my brother. We want to hear from y'all, family. What do you think? And then we're gonna go just a little bit further, but then we don't want to leave you with problems. We want to leave you with solutions of things that can be done, should be done, and should be implemented. Okay, so we want to do that. I'm gonna pass it back over to my brother.
Indeed. And we appreciate everybody for tapping in with us and rocking with us. Definitely do the research on the names mentioned. I'll stress again the information, the lectures, the teachings. And that's what it is. All praise is due to Allah for this platform, for the information, for the life giving teachings. I just want to put out there a few more quotes from some of those people that became aware. And it's basically veggie backing off of what my brother just gave you a whole lot. Like he tells me, a mouthful. He gave you about 3 or 4. But I mentioned this quote earlier, and there's 3 I want to mention to you. And it's from a writer, historian, professor, and an academic pioneer that we know as John Henrik Clarke. Powerful people cannot afford to educate the people they oppress, because once you are truly educated, you will not ask for power, you will take it. So that speaks to the point of my brother saying they're not going to give you the information. They're not going, those in power, those that are benefiting the most in the system are not going to empower you on how to remove that from them.
Come on now.
They're not going to do it. That's like saying, you know, you go into a fight and your enemy going to tell you what his weaknesses is and how for you to defeat him. It's not going to happen. And just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in chapter 27 of Message to the Black Man, we must teach our own. Let's not forget that. Also, another historian and anthropologist, a physicist and politician that we know as Cheikh Anta Diop, he said, and I quote, "Intellectuals ought to study the past, not for the pleasure they find in so doing, but to derive lessons from it." Now, I'm going to read that again. Intellectuals ought to study the past, not for the pleasure they find in so doing, but to derive lessons from it. Learn, study, do the research, do the knowledge, study the past. And why is the past so important? And I'm going to speak my last quote from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the UNIA movement. Marcus Garvey said, and I quote, "A people without the knowledge of their history," excuse me, let me correct myself. "A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots."
That's right. That's right.
A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So education, self-knowledge, self-awareness, knowing who we are, knowing our history, teaching our own, as we're taught, chapter 27 by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Message to the Black Man. We must teach our own. We must do for self. And this leads into some of our solutions. How can we do for self? How can we teach our own? How do we become knowledgeable of our past? Where do we begin to study? Where do we begin to ask those questions? And it starts now. It starts now. If you're hearing my voice, you're playing this video on social media, use the tools in your hand. Use these devices that you're streaming us on, these cell phones. We have many computers in our hands all day. And we scroll and we look at pictures and videos and we play and we engage in things we shouldn't be engaging in and feeding our brain. But take the time out. Take 10 minutes, I challenge you, to do some research and check your sources, but do some research on who you are. Ask some questions. Ask Siri. Ask Alexa. Ask Google. Ask Safari. Ask Yahoo. Ask Bing. Ask Firefox. You know what I mean? And tap in. And definitely, I will say this, and I'm going to pass it back to my brother so he can get more to some of the solutions that are out there for us. I say definitely do your knowledge and your research. Of course, we know that there is no compulsion in Islam, but I will bear witness for myself. coming from a conscious path of striving to learn more of myself over 11 years, a lot of questions that I had even in the conscious path were not answered until I came into the teachings, the actual facts, the life-giving teachings that are brought to us from God in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and their divine reminder, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. So tap in, NOI.org. We appreciate you for tapping in. And that's what I suggest today. From Message to the Black Man Podcast, I'm your brother Juan Carlos X. I'm going to pass it back to our brother Karthral Muhammad.
Allahu Akbar. All praise is due to Allah. You know, family, some of the solutions is number one, like my brother said, you got to have a hunger for the knowledge. That's number one. You got to have a hunger for the knowledge. Because as we learn in our study guide, desire feeds the will. So therefore, if you don't have a hunger to learn it, if you don't have the hunger and the desire to know, then you're never gonna know. You're never gonna know. You can't look at and wait on these schools to teach your children the real history of their black self. You can't rely on that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad only mentioned one historian in the Message to the Black Man, and that was J.A. Rogers. J.A. Rogers. I'm not discounting anybody. I'm just giving you somebody that you definitely need to look at. J.A. Rogers. He has a plethora of works. The 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. That's one. The World's Greatest Men of Color, Volume 1, Volume 2. Then you have him. You have Africa's Gift to America. You have Sex and Races, Volume 1, Volume 2. If you don't have these books, these are great books and great resources for you to have in your library that you can begin to teach, as my brother said, the actual facts about the history. Now, here's something interesting to note that our brother Dimitri pointed out in his book, The Invincible Truth, that J.A. Rogers and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was actually writing for the Pittsburgh Courier at the same time. So they were writing at the same time, giving information about black people and what was going on with us. And this is one of the reasons that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentioned him, not because he was in the Pittsburgh Courier, but he had the opportunity to read his writings in the papers. He had an opportunity to see what the brother was bringing, and he knew and understood the knowledge that this brother was doing. Now, J.A. Rogers is coming in the 30s, in the 40s, giving us this type of information about Kemet, Akhenaten, Queen Hatshepsut, and many others, Nubia, Pianki. He's giving us all this kind of information in the 1930s. This man is an anthropologist and a scholar in the 1930s. And if you don't have the book Superman to Man, you need to tap in on that book right there. J.A. Rogers, a great resource to begin learning about your black history. Also, our brother Ivan Van Sertima. Our brother mentioned Sheikh Auntie Diop. Also, Wanuko Rashidi. These brothers have done the brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. These brothers have done their due diligence and the knowledge to bring you the knowledge of yourself in a powerful way. Now, that means you can get those books. Again, that's Ivan Van Sertima, J.A. Rogers, Sheikh Auntie Diop, Renuko Rashidi, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. If it's any, my brother John Henry Clark, you know, if it's anybody that I've missed that you know, you can put it in the chat, family. You can put it in the chat and let us know. But one of the things that we want to do, because we solutionaries, both me and my brother, we're solutionaries. One of the things we want to do and announce is that Wise Words digital media as of today is officially available. Okay. Wise Words digital media, we have a plethora of digital books by those authors and many, many others. And if you tap in with us and ask us about these books, I mean, in the thousands, family, we got access to that. Okay? Different books by different people that we can make available to you. We can send it to you via email. We can send it to you flash drive, however you like it. We can send it to you. So that's going to be Wise Words Digital Media. And we will also have physical books too. Okay. One of them that we got and just got in is called Race in North America. And that is the origin and evolution of a worldview by Audrey Smedley. This sister is bad. We got this book because brother student minister Ishmael Muhammad mentioned her about 2 or 3 weeks ago in his lecture, talking about when he was talking about the answer to the race problem. He mentioned how it all started. She mentions in the book what they did, where the origins of what we call race is from. If you want this book, again, tap in with us. We do have physical copies of it. If you order today, we can ship out today. That's what I'm talking about. If you order today, we can ship out today. Tap in with us on that. And I just want to mention one lecture that I want my brother to bring up as well, and that is a lecture that the minister did called The Origin of Blackness. The Origin of Blackness. For those of you all who have not seen that message by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that is a great place to start about the knowledge of yourself. Why? Because he takes you beyond Kemet, beyond Nubia, beyond Ashanti, beyond any of that, taking you back into our real history, and that is coming from the God of the universe. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Message to the Black Man says that we are descendants of the original God, and in our very DNA, he lives through us today. Now, for those of you who don't think nothing of yourself, for those of you who don't think you got any value, this is for you. Black man, black woman, you are a direct descendant from the Almighty God himself. If you think that I'm tripping because you've been taught God is a spirit, why is the enemy looking up the God gene? Why is he looking up the God gene? Well, if God has a gene, that means he has a genealogy. That means that he has a physical presence. That means that he is something physical. Then why don't you know about that? Why don't I know about that? You Google it yourself. The God gene. They're looking for it. And they found that the strongest of the God gene is within the black man and woman. You heard what I said. That is because of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. We are of the direct DNA lineage of Almighty God Allah himself. So if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, if you didn't know, now you know. You do, as my brother said, you do the research. You tap in with these books, Message to the Black Man. I got to give you one more. If you want to get into some deep, deep, deep Black history and the origin of things, then you need to get Our Savior Has Arrived by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and read the chapter entitled Knowledge of God Himself, which I believe is the 19th chapter. Knowledge of God Himself. That's going to take you into that deep, deep rooted history of the black man and woman before they were writing it in regards to on paper. That's going to take you into that deep history all the way back into the self-creation of Almighty God Allah Himself. So all praises is due to Allah for that. And also, family, Wise Words Digital Media is available. But not only that, family, one of the other solutions is that we have to take the responsibility to educate our own. We cannot, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, they not going to give it to us. So why not implement and use these things online, like they're saying, use online, use Facebook, use all of these forms of media to teach a real Black history class online. Why can't we do that? Why can't you have that with your family? Why can't you all start a reading group among your family, among your church, among your mosque? Why can't we do that? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said a school can start up under a tree. He said it doesn't matter where the school start, it matters what you teach in the school. So that right there should let us know you're not going nowhere without a thorough knowledge of yourself. A lot of us, my last point, I'm going to turn it back over to my brother. A lot of us believe that we are mentally free. How can you be free? How can you be free when you have been under the oppressive hand of an open enemy who would not break the chains if somebody didn't come to help begin to all those rusty locks, open the lock on your mind, on your spirit, to unlock you out of that cage that you're in. How do you figure you're going to be yourself and have a thorough knowledge of yourself without somebody coming to teach you a thorough knowledge of self? Brother Dre G. Supreme Parker said, myself and my brother have been saying we are God since we were 12 and 13 years old, but most people are brainwashed to worship white Jesus. Absolutely. Absolutely, family. That's because we didn't have the knowledge of self. And we were taught to believe in a mystery God. Ain't not just worshiping the white Jesus only. It said, it talks about in our lessons, it talks about why did they basically take the name Jesus? So that they could secretly, basically, I'm paraphrasing, get you to worship them. See? They want you to worship them. They know it ain't no mystery God. They want to put themselves in the place of God. And that is who we worship for almost 500 years. You can say no, but if you go to the root of it, that's who we've been worshiping all this time. It ain't nobody in the sky. We've been worshiping the white man. That's right. I know that might be a hard pill to swallow, but that's real. We've been worshiping the white man. If you still got that white Jesus on your wall today, no disrespect, that ain't even the color of Jesus. So therefore, in that not being correct, you can't even see the value of the real Jesus who is black. because you can't see the value in yourself. So I'm gonna pass it over to my brother and let him give some more solutions, and then we gonna get ready to go ahead and close it out. But we praying you all enjoying this conversation, and we would love to hear from you.
Indeed. Um, One thing I just want to tap in on as we close is, as he mentioned, a lot of us, and I'm talking about Black people, Black folks, some of us that have felt or have come to some knowledge of saying, oh, I don't worship a white Jesus. A challenge that was presented to me is when you think of the name Jesus, you close your eyes and say the word Jesus, what image comes to mind?
Come on.
What do you see in that realm? Because you're not speaking it in the physical through your mouth, you're speaking it on the inside. So close your eyes and say the word Jesus, and what image do you see? That's part of that psychological warfare, that social engineering, that conditioning, all those um, dynamics of slavery and the system they instituted. But if you haven't got this book, Message to the Black Man, reach out to myself, my brother, or visit finalcallstore.noi.org. Get this book. And as we mentioned today, education, chapter 27 of this book says we must teach our own. And even though we've presented a lot of questions, we've also given some of the solutions that came to mind for us in this episode. I will, in the end of the chapter, I'll end by saying this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and I quote, whatever Allah desires, he will bring into being, whether we like it or not.
Go ahead.
And that's just what it is. We can say we don't like what was said. That brother was talking white Jesus. They was talking about the secret relationship to Jews. They was talking Islam. Whatever it is you don't like about it. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what the brother says. It doesn't matter what our leaders say. In the end, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in this book, and I'll quote again, whatever Allah desires, he will bring into being, whether we like it or not. And we know that is the supreme being. He is a supreme being, and there's nothing that trumps that. So we appreciate you for tapping in. Definitely, if you're on the Facebook, Message to the Black Man podcast, Mttbm podcast, you can see all the resources we put in this broadcast, or there you can hit the link, hit my brother, hit myself, and do the research and do the knowledge. So I appreciate everybody for tapping in with us today. And praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. And for those of you that want more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, as my brother put in the chat already, but we're going to put it again because we're just students. We are not the teacher. We're just students of the teacher. We're just students of the teacher. So we want to put in here where you can go, and we are inviting you this Friday. We're going to invite you this Wednesday at 7:30 Central Standard Time to noi.org/webcast, where we will be studying the time and what must be done by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then we want to invite you on Friday again to noi.org as well. We want to invite you once again to noi.org so you can engage in this powerful study of self-improvement, the basis for community development developed by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And lastly, again on Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, we want to invite you right back once again to noi.org to hear a weekly lecture from one of the students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you are in the Phoenix area or in the Tucson area, once again, we're still practicing we haven't opened yet, but soon will be. Soon will be. We are located on, let me get the address. I know it's 4444. I believe 3rd Street. I know it
Yes,
is.
sir. And while he's getting that information for you, if you desire to see the people free, I suggest and urge you to visit economicblueprint.org. That's economicblueprint.org. And it says Muhammad's economic blueprint will allow us to help ourselves in the battle to create jobs and end poverty and want. Under this wise economic plan, we can now use the collective power of our dollars to build a future for ourselves. With 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, and $18.20 a year multiplied by 16 million wage earners would give us $291 million in 1 year. Everyone can give 35 cents a week as an investment in their future. Donate now and see what our pennies, nickels, and dimes can accomplish.
All right. Well, you heard it here again. I did put the address here in Mosque, Muhammad Mosque number 32, under the leadership of our brother student minister Abdul Muhammad. Abdul Iman Muhammad, excuse me. We definitely invite you soon. We'll let you know once the doors open again. And my brother has already put the link to the study group there as well. So you can tap in and learn more of the life giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We have enjoyed you today, and we pray that you have enjoyed this message. To the black man, thank you once again for everybody that tapped in here on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on Melanated People. Also on Melanated People, we want to thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you could have been anywhere and everywhere, but you decided to be right here with us, listening to this important message. Wa alaikum salam, Brother Chris. We're listening to this important message that we delivered today, and that is talking about that we must take control of our education, and we must let our school system know that we are not okay with them taking out the real history of America out of the schools in the name of creating so-called patriotism. Lies don't create patriotism. Lies don't create patriotism. Only truth and fair dealing will create that. So I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed my time with my brother Juan Carlos X. I've enjoyed
Likewise.
my time with him. We pray that you have enjoyed your time with us. We have this available for you. Soon we have our own anchor, but for right now, you can go to Mind Spark Creations and you'll be able to find this in a little bit on Anchor FM, and also our brother will play it on Phenomenal Radio. So shout out to Phenomenal Radio and the whole staff over there. So definitely download the TuneIn app and also type in Phenomenal Radio and you'll find our brother over there. So family, we thank you. We thank Allah for anything of good that we have said, any mistakes we have made. May Allah forgive us and may you forgive us. But we love you, family. May Allah continue to bless each and every one of you. I greet you with Assalamu alaikum, and I'm going to let my brother close it out.
Indeed. Peace and blessings to everybody. Like he said it all. We leave you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. All praises due to Allah, family. Share, share, share. Share it with your network. Share it with your people. Let them know that Black Man, Message to the Black Man podcast is alive and rolling. Assalamu alaikum.